Shalom Akim, your brother brothers are other from GMS London camp. First and foremost, give all praises and glory to Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, by Hashem Rakwakodash. Double honors unto the apostles and orders of the GreatMillStone. Blessings unto the hopeful elect, Bakwa Yakodash, in the Hebrew for the holy elect, around the four winds. Yeah, man, just another quick upload. Esau's planning and plotting day in and day out. As the scriptures say in Revelations 12 chapter and 12 verse, that his time is short, man. So, scriptures say also that they're going to be as madmen, sparing none. And there's going to be a great insurrection amongst the people, man. And it's talking about the time that we're going into, Jacob's trouble, the martial law, total decline, the depravity of society, which we're currently in, and economic collapse. And now these devils are coming out with the articles, more and more of how they're going to enslave or want to enslave the populace, man, domesticated peoples, especially you Jakes, you Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans of the tribes of Israel, man, because that's what it's really all about. It's about Jacob v. Esau, man. It says from mobile.wnd.com, it says Congress lining up behind indefinite detention for Americans. So no longer is it just about so-called Al-Qaeda and Taliban terrorists and all that madness. All these different acronyms these devils come up for these so-called Arab terrorist groups. Now, the domesticated peoples are known as terrorists, man. And that's been going on for a while. All these false flags that keep on happening. And so their peoples are now so-called potential threat to their own government, especially the American government. And now they, that the NDAA that was prescribed in 2012 by Obama, National Defense Authorization Act, to enslave, the populace in Americas is up and running, man. We're in the final stages of their so-called New World Order. So it says Congress lining up behind indefinite detention for Americans. It says any president could send military hold U.S. citizens without charges essentially forever, which is all part of the New World Order agenda, man. That form of control, especially leading up to that mark of the beast, the RFID chip system, which is, in a wide scale going to be implemented very soon, man, on mandatory scale. It's going to be enforced on the peoples, man. That's why they're setting up these concentration camps for the peoples that don't want to take it. It says, while much of the reporting on the National Defense Authorization Act, now pending in Congress, has focused on issues such as authorization for the military parade in Washington, says John Swartz, and at the Intercept noticed a far different issue. It says the option for the indefinite detention of American citizens without charges. It says the Constitution protects the rights of the accused under the nation's criminal statutes. It says including the provision of a statement of charges, a speedy trial. It says a defense counsel and a jury trial. It says the idea of no notice, no ending, no charges detention arose in response to 9/11. Yeah, man, because they came out all their, that false flag attack, and then they started coming up with all these bylaws like, the Patriot Act and all these stuff to try and, so-called deter the threat. But really it's to, try and control and monetize the peoples in their country, man, because that's who they want control over. And the New World Order agenda, man, the new slaves. It says with the argument that terrorists are more likely enemy combatants than homegrown criminals. It says, but the Interceptor noted that the legislation expanded its scope over the years. It says the fiscal year 2012 NDAA under Obama, government rule. It says presidencies is including provisions that appear to be codify and expand the power that the executive branch had previously claimed to posses, namely the power to hold individuals, including U.S. citizens, in military detention indefinitely. And that's what these devils want to do. The time of martial law is coming, and these devils are going to, posse comitatus is going to be out of the window, which, that's supposed to prevent martial law or military groups from taking over the government, like the apostles always go into. But them times are coming short, man. You know, situations like this with all these false flags going on, and they don't know who's doing it, so to speak, when it's really controlled by the global elites, the international Jewish rat banking families known as the Rothschilds and that. You know, they're in control of all these situations, man. They're the ones who's doing this order ab chaos through their witchcrafts, you know, to control the masses, man. But, you know, it's only going to go so far. Well, it's going to go as far as them actually, you know, enacting these acts, man. You know, forcing it upon the people and setting up them concentration camps to kill 2/3, you know, which is going to be judgment of the Heavenly Father, and to massacre their own people and the heathen, man, and the other nations, man. But ultimately, it's the judgment of the Lord, because he's the orchestrator of all this, man. The Most High master of the host of the battle, and he ruleth in the kingdom of men. So ultimately, it's the Heavenly Father's judgment, you know, on the peoples, man. 2/3 of his own people that didn't want to hear and adhere to this word. They're going to be caught up in these situations of martial law, you know, famines and pestilences and all that. This is including U.S. citizens in military detentions indefinitely. This is based on the authorization to use military force passed by Congress 3 days after 9/11. The report said. This is Ron Paul criticized the 2012 NDA as providing some weak restraints on the executive branch's ability to use this power. Says the report explained that theoretically the provisions should apply only to those involved in 9/11, such as Al Qaeda and the Taliban, that was all set up, man. You know. It says, but now, incredibly enough, a bipartisan group of 6 lawmakers, different senators, or whatever, lawyers and all that. It says it's proposing a new AUMF that would greatly expand who the president can place in indefinite military detention. And it says, all in the name of restricting presidential power, the Intercept said. And this is what these devils want to do, man. And, you know, now they got it on the paperwork, man, with the NDAA and all that stuff. You know, it's authorized by Obama, so-called black president of old, man. That was, you know, supposed to be for his people. But he signed off, and he's a Hamite anyway, but he signed off, you know, his people to be enslaved, man. So-called domesticated peoples to be enslaved. You know, so that he was never for, you know, his people, man. And this is all orchestrated from way back when, man, because this has all been the endeavor of the you know, so-called enlightened ones, the Illuminati. There's you know, population control, depopulation, and all that, eugenic systems, and all these depopulation programs and psyops that these devils have been running for the longest, man. Anyway, so we're in the last days now, so these devils are actually going to enact on this fully, man. It's not going to be just on paper. It's actually going to happen, man. And, you know, the domino pieces are falling into place, so to speak, where the economy is going to collapse, especially the American economy. And it's going to have a global effect. It's going to be pandemics, epidemics running rife, you know, all these different bioweapons that these devils are going to release out there. So, and it's all judgment of the Lord, but these devils think they're in control, and they're gonna, you know, establish their new world order of it and push that RFID chip system, which is the mark of the beast. So I'm gonna jump to the scriptures real quick and then close out. I'll leave the article in the description box. It says Isaiah 59:19. It says, so shall they fear the name of Yahweh from the west, and his glory from the rising of the sun. It says, when the enemy, talking about Esau, you know, with his different military groups, man. It says, shall come in like a flood. That's Esau's army, man. You know, militias and all that, the Gurkha troops, you know, so-called world armies, EU army and all that, they're going to release on the populace, man, to all the Abkeo, bring forth that form of control, man, in a time of, you know, depravity, in a time of anarchy in the streets. You know, it says, the Spirit of the Lord, Yahweh, shall lift up a standard against him. And that's the time when the Lord's going to unleash that spiritual power on his men, you know, for his men. And they're actually going to have to defend themselves, you know, by using spiritual power, man, because it's going to be another element of warfare, man. It's going to be different. You're going to be fighting tactical militias and troops and all kind of different weaponry, man. So the men of the Lord are going to have to be heightened in strength and speed and you know, to utilize the elements and, you know, water and all these things, you know, fire and all that, man. you know, all these different so-called technique, you know, methods of spiritual power, basically, man. In a nutshell, man. You know, there was different ones. This is aerokinesis, pyrokinesis, you know, telekinesis, controlling the air, the water, fire, and all that, and the earth. You know, that's going to be our defense when we have come up against, or for the men of the Lord will not be of the elect. When we fight against these devils, man, you're gonna need that spiritual power, man, to fight these devils off. You know, that's all gonna be a blessing from the Heavenly Father to show His power and His strength, man. You know, this is written in the next scripture, Ezekiel 21:9. The Son of Man, it says, prophesy and say, thus saith Yahweh, a sword is sharpened and also furbished. Yeah, man. The sword has been given into the hand of the wicked, man, because that's his blessing. Esau, so-called white people on this planet right now, and also he's a sword of the Most High, as it tells you in the book of Psalms, man. You know, and his sword is that his military might. You know, in the time of martial law, all these weaponries that he's got. You know, and ultimately the RFID chip system, man. You know, that he's setting up, man. You know, which only the 2/3 are going to take part of that. The elect, they ain't going to take that chip, man. You know, whether it be unto death, you know, the men that are going to be beheaded for the faith, like it tells you in the book of Revelations, the 20th chapter. You know, it says, it is sharpened to make a sore slaughter. It says, it is furbished that it may glitter. It says, should we then make mirth? Yeah, because people are lollygagging, they're getting married, you know, they're partying, the revelry, you know, having barbecues and shit because the sun's out. They ain't got a clue what's going on in economy-wise, you know, economically. You know, they ain't got a clue what's going on, man, in the money markets, the system, stock markets, and all that. You know, they don't know what's going on, man. They're just in La La Land, man. You know, they're drunk off that Babylon juice, and they want to stay that way. You know, 2/3 of our people, they're complacent, man. You know, it says, it contemneth the rod of my son, it says, as every tree. It says, and he have given it to be furbished, that it may be handled. And it says, the sword is sharpened and it is furbished. It says, to give it into the hand of the slayer, which is the so-called white man right now. As I said, he's the Lord's whooping stick for 2/3 of you jakes out there that don't want to adhere to this word, man. You're one of the ones that are going to get caught up by this. Even Jeremiah cursed out 2/3 of Israel, saying that a troop, letting them be taken by a troop, man. Who that troop? Talking about the military, man. Esau's army, man. You know, and these things are going to happen. Whether these people like it or not, whether they're here for a bear, these things are going to happen because it's part of the Lord's prophecy, man, before he comes back. So, you know, this is definitely going to happen. It says, cry and howl, son of man, for it shall come upon my people. Lord, who's the Lord's people? You Israelites, man. You Hispanics, you Negroes, and Native Americans, man. You're the Lord's chosen people, man. It says, it shall be upon all the princes of Israel. It says, the northern and southern kingdom. It says, terrors by reason. Yeah, man, terrors, man. That by reason of the sword shall be upon my people, smite therefore upon the fire. So these things are going to actually take place, man. This ain't just a metaphor or anything like that. This is actually a prophecy that's going to take place in these last days, man. You know, and only the men of the Lord that are forewarning you, because we know these things are going to come to pass. It's the Heavenly Father's judgment, man. In 2nd Ezra 16, let's go to the main point. It's the last scripture I'm going to read before I close out. It says, for behold, a burning wrath of the great, 2nd Ezra 16:68, it says, behold, for behold, the burning wrath of a great multitude is kindled over you, and they shall take away certain of you, and feed you, being idle, with things offered unto idols. And that's the times we're coming into, man. Those idols is talking about the RFID chip system, man, the mark of the beast. They're going to take certain men, they're going to put you in them concentration camps. That's why they're saying they can come up with they got with the NDAA to enslave or imprison people forever, for a long-term terminated amount of time, without release, without trial, you know. and they're gonna offer you this RFID chip system, man. If you don't take it, it's off with the head, man. They're gonna have the guillotines and all kind of torture mechanisms in those concentration camps, man. For the domesticated peoples, not for so-called Taliban and Al Qaeda groups and all this ISIS and all that BS. It's for us. It's for the people, of the Lord, man. They're gonna try and come against the people, the men of the Lord, try and destroy Israel. It says, and they that consent unto them shall be had in derision. So anyone that takes part of that mark of the beast system, man, you take that chip, you're going to be in derision and in a reproach and trodden underfoot. You're going to get put to death, man, ultimately by them ICBM missiles, man, because that chip ain't going to save you, man. It says, for they shall be in every place and in the cities and in the next cities a great insurrection upon those that fear the Lord. It says, they shall be like madmen, sparing none, but still spoiling and destroying those that fear the Lord. So these devils are going to come up with a great insurrection, which is that, getting rid of that posse comitatus, that martial law tactics. And the military takes over the government, and they're going to, try and destroy the men of the Lord, man. And that's why the Lord's going to have to endow certain men with that spiritual power to fight off these devils, man. It says, for they shall waste and take away their goods and cast them out of their houses. Yeah, like these devils come in the middle of the night and they just basically throw you in the back of a van and take you off to them concentration camps, man. It says, then shall they be known who are my chosen, and they shall be tried as the gold in the fire. Yeah, man, because that's the hour of temptation, basically, man. When your faith's going to be tried for the men of the Lord, if you're going to take that chip or not, man, and the elect are not going to take that chip, as I've been saying. 2/3, they're going to bow down, basically, man. They're going to get weak. They're weak and feeble, no faith, and they're just going to bow down to these devils, man, and take their chip and ultimately get destroyed, man. It says, verse 74, I'll close out on this. It says, hear, O ye my beloved, saith the Yahweh, behold, the days of trouble are at hand. Yeah, time of Jacob's trouble. It says, but I will deliver you from the same. So the elect, you've got to just abide in that faith, man. This is why we're going through the fiery trials that we're going through now. The Lord wants to make us hard, man. The word endure is to make hard. So the Lord's making us go through what we have to go through right now. So when this time comes, we ain't going to be it's not going to be a burden unto us. We're not going to be getting weak and feeble, man. We're going to be just, take it as it is. And, Lord willing, through faith, He will deliver us from these pestilences and from the time of Jacob's trouble to come, as it says in the book of Revelations, man. So anyway, I'm going to close out on that. I'll give all praises and glory to Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, and brakatham to the hopeful elect, man. Until next time, I say shalom.